obviously that's when we looked at PSL, and we knew that would be the ultimate solution to sort of tie everything in, and then not only to help us achieve the initial accreditation, but then also maintain everything.
You can set a quote to review required, which means it's there, but we've got to now re-engineer it before we can repeat the order. So it closes the loop. It's no good having data collection if you don't act on it.
Hello and welcome to this week's MTDCNC podcast. I'm joined by Infamous, is that right, Jeff? Jeff Gartland from PSL Datatrack, and your role is, now I've checked on LinkedIn, Managing Director. Well, I know that anyway. So that's correct though, isn't it?
That is correct, Colin.
Good. It's like a good start. We can only go downhill from here, Jeff.
Certainly, yeah.
Absolutely. And we are joined today by Alex Taylor of CTPE. You are the director of CTPE. First of all, though, I'm going to ask Alex, what does CTPE stand for?
It used to stand for Chris Taylor Production Engineering when my father started the business back in 1989.
And what's it stand for now?
Well, the same thing, but it's just an acronym name, so we just shortened it.
Fair enough. A good start there. So what we're going to do today is find out, a bit about the costing side of things with PSL Datatrack, and also how, and I'm hopefully you're going to say this is correct, Alex, that how PSL Datatrack has taken you to the next level in terms of quoting and hopefully profitability. I'm going to expect a yes. It most certainly
absolutely.
has.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Good. So take a step back though. Now, just off camera, off audio, I think you were one of the first jobs that I ever went to for MTD, and it was exceptionally traumatic for me. Hopefully, it wasn't too traumatic for yourself.
No, it was fine. Yeah, no, I can remember it well.
Yes, I'm not sure that's a good or bad thing, but transformation in your business from what, about 10 years ago, 2014, I'd say, because I started in 2014.
Yeah, 14. Yeah, I think.
From my perspective, and having visited you last year, he says confidently.
Yes, I think it was last year. Yeah, or 21.
The transformation has been absolutely phenomenal. It really has. So, tell us, what sort of machines you were running, what sort of machines and jobs you're doing now, please.
Yeah, so obviously we used to do batch work, but it tend to be smaller batch runs in sort of 25, 50s. But what we found, over the last 10 years, sort of the volume of a lot of our repeat work has increased. To sort of bigger batches. We're now sort of into the hundreds, and up to 1,000. So obviously we've had to adapt our systems and processes and machinery to suit that as the work's changed as well. So so it's obviously it's been quite a change over the last 10 years.
Okay, so give us a quick rundown of some of the machines you are running now.
Yeah, so we run Brother Speedio machining centres, 3, 4 and 5 axes, tables fitted to them. We have twin pallet horizontal machining centre as well. And then on the turning side of the business, we've got 2 sliding head machines from Tornos. We have a Belia fixed head twin spindle with Y-axis. And then we've got our latest investment, which only came in last year, 6 months ago, was our brand new Miano twin spindle, twin turret machine for sort of high volume mill turn parts.
Okay, so I think that's a big change from where you were previously. Now, I was chatting with Jeff earlier, pre-recording started, and we couldn't remember for the life of us, what was the twin pallet machine? Which one was that? What's that?
That's Averex HS450.
Good. Because I should know this because I did the interview, didn't I?
You did indeed, yeah.
There you go. So yeah, I've had a few sleeps since then, Alex. So that's what it is. It's an age thing. Anyway, moving on, Jeff. Today we're going to obviously talk about how PSL Datatrack has helped CTPE, and we know what CTPE stands for. That's just an acronym. Tell me about sort of how you've engaged with Alex, how you've helped them, and we're sort of going to really concentrate on the costing side of things. That's what I understand.
Well, yeah, really, and the system starts with costing really at the quote stage. But in terms of going back to obviously where it all started from, Alex, I think you and I first met maybe 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. I think you were at the old unit at the time, and obviously the business was not quite where it is today. So I remember coming in, sitting down with you and Chris, and we went through what the system could do for you. And at the time, I think everything you were doing was on spreadsheets.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and Word documents. Yeah.
Yeah, and we discussed, obviously, it was the kind of thing you wanted to obviously make the transition, but you had to do it at the right time. And you had some big challenges coming up in terms of you wanted to move premises, you wanted ISO 9001 accredited as well. And we talked on and off for a while about the right order to do things in, and it had to be at the right time. And obviously that then happened. In terms of installation, that was 2 years ago now. I should have looked up before we started.
Yeah, we went in August 21, I think.
Yeah. So compared to when I first met you, things changed a bit in the market because obviously COVID hit, and that changed how we did things fundamentally. Because when we used to supply systems, all the training would be on the site, and it was intensive days. And then we switched to doing the training via Zoom, which obviously you went through that program. And I think you found that was very effective in terms of timing and giving you practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it worked really well for us. We thought it was a really, really good way of doing it.
Yeah, and from our perspective, it seemed smooth because you went live pretty quickly. And obviously from a costing point of view, it all starts with a quote, making sure you've got the price right on the quote. Otherwise, everything else you do really doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. That's the quoting is obviously one of the main benefits, and the initial benefits you get straight away when you first start using the system is the quick quoting and how quickly you can generate and output quotes.
I'll tell you what's interesting is we know that's the case, but it's great to hear you say it, and it's great for others to hear you say that as well, because the way we put the quote together. I mean, as a user, you know that we focused around the things you need: the process, the set times, the cycle times, the material, the subcon, the markups, and so on. But it's all got the focus on subcon engineering, which not every approach would have. And that's how you get the quotes out very, very quickly and very, very accurately. And that's really where the strength in the system starts, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a nutshell, your system is designed specifically for subcontract engineers, and you're building, you built it from scratch for subcontract engineers, and you've developed over the years to make sure it's 100% right for those guys. And if it's not 100% right, if it's 99% right, you can change it as well.
The truth is, nothing's ever 100% right, or nothing's ever finished. If something's ever finished, you've given up, because there's always new ideas, new things you can do, improvements you can make, feedback you can take on board, and we do actively do that all the time.
Absolutely. So you're taking that feedback for individual engineers, but you're also putting it out to the whole system if a lot of people like it as well.
What we aim to do, effectively, Datatrack users, although it may not be official, it's like a community. A lot of them know each other as well. And as ideas come back to us, we then put, if you like, value back into the system by supplying the upgrades with new features.
Okay. Now, going back to onboarding, and you've seen the system, Alex. You obviously like it, albeit it took way too long to get on board. But joking aside, taking on board a new system, in terms of time, is it has it made it? I'm sure it would have made it a lot easier to quote. But were you daunted by the amount of information you've got to put in? And that's one question. And the other question is, yeah, you were using the old Excels and Word documents. How much quick? Give me an example of how much time it used to take and how much time it takes now.
For quoting, I reckon we're probably 75% quicker. It's got to be, compared to the old way of doing it, definitely. If not even quicker, especially if you've got similar parts, and obviously since we've been using it, we've built up a nice database of material stocks and things like that. So it all becomes and subcon, it all becomes very quick to bring across once it's been on there once. Which obviously that's where you save the time massively then, because you're not retyping the same old thing over and over again.
Right. So key to it is getting, and you always look at, I mean, even from where I'm, where we are, you look at a project and you think, it's going to take ages to do, but that initial investment in time gives much more benefit in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we first spoke to you, Jeff, and we looked into it, we were obviously you have a bit of apprehension and think, is this going to be a really difficult system to get up and running? Is it going to be take loads of our time and and then not actually be beneficial? But I mean, it was completely the opposite of that. It was very, very quick to get up and running. There wasn't too much importing of old data. I think we just basically we started fairly clean with the system, because we never had an actual computerized system prior to this. So it was quite very quick to get up and running.
I think what also came across to us at the time is that when you put a system in, I mean, let's face it, we've only talked about quotations, but when you put a system in, you either approach it with the fact that, okay, you don't know how to do it, or you don't know how smooth it's going to be, but you're going to make it work, or you go into it with trepidation of, this isn't going to work, or this is going to be difficult. And you take the first approach and it will always work. Mindset, together with the system, give a good result. And having that positive mindset really helped from our point of view in terms of you going live quickly, Alex.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, it's the live transition was very quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think two things. I'm going to do two questions at a time just to keep you guys on your toes. But it sounds like COVID has had a big impact in making PSL Datatrack more efficient in terms of your training, because you could do it on Zoom and things like that, which you probably didn't embrace as much previously. But it's made it a lot easier for you to communicate with your end users. That's one side of things. So that COVID and training, but also input of that data. So there's a lot of different sort of factors to consider when you're quoting. How easy is that, and how intuitive is that? I'm going to go to Jeff on the COVID side and Alex on the actual input side, all the information, if I may.
Well, I think from the COVID side, Colin, obviously it was a change that had to be made overnight, pretty much, and it was a change we didn't know how well it would work. But I think looking back now, compared to how we used to do things, the huge benefit you've got from doing things over online sessions via Zoom is that you break it into segments, you break it into chunks. Asking a key member of a subcontract team to say, look, can you give me a whole day uninterrupted is difficult. When you say, look, can I have an hour of your time? We're going to focus on this. And then what we'll do is we'll catch up in a few days' time or next week. You do some homework, practice what we've learned, and then we'll build on it. Because there's always a day job you've got to do at the same time. So that way, I think it eases the transition, makes it far more practical to bring the system in than bombarding the end user with loads of information and too much to do in one go.
I think that ties in with the system itself, because if people don't know PSL Datatrack, I hope they do, but if they don't, it's a modular system. So I can have one, or I can have all. Now, get this number right, all 26?
Nah, it's got to be 27 now, Colin, because we're just about to launch the contract review module.
There you go. So I'm keeping you on. I knew that, Jeff. I was just keeping you on your toes. So moving on to the question in terms of Alex. So, there's a lot of different factors to consider in terms of when you're actually quoting. If you can give me, a lot of people out there will know it, but were there things that you think actually it made you think, oh, I've never really considered that?
Yeah. So obviously there's things on there on the quote module that there's lots of options and lots of tuning that you can do, some fine tuning, in terms of like the overall efficiency of a cost center, and you can change that per customer. So things like this, and then obviously separate markup for material and subcon. There's lots of areas where you can fine tune that. Obviously, doing it the old way, how we used to, where we just had to obviously manually work out everything and cover it that way. Whereas it's a lot easier. There's a lot more tweaking to be done, or a lot more options to change things going forward. So I think massively beneficial in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And easy to use, intuitive to use?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole system as a whole is very intuitive, jumping from module to module. Once you've got your initial quote done, which is where everything starts, to then turn that into a works order, to then generate a purchase order for material, it all flows and it all links together really nice. So
hence the speed of the quotes. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and you can decline to answer these two questions. Any things in there where you looked at in the quoting system, you thought, oh, I've never really considered that, and that's. See, I do two questions at a time just to keep you focused. The second one: have you come across any jobs where you've quoted previously and you've gone back and you've actually you maybe lost money or not been as profitable? You choose your answer wisely.
I think, being honest, I think everyone's probably has had that at some time. Yeah, and obviously it's always, you have to use your best educated guess. Shall we use the term? When you're talking a new job, if it's something different, if it's something you haven't done, you have to you have to pull on your experience and and base it off something. But sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, and it's not until you've actually done the job you find out that actually it did take longer and we couldn't do it the way you originally planned. But that is engineering, and that is how things are sometimes.
Okay. Now, another thing with you guys, you've got, so obviously you're quoting, but it then it flows through to your works order and your shop floor data collection. Is that correct?
Yes. So we don't have the shop floor data collection yet, but that is something that we're going to be talking to Jeff about very soon.
Jeff asked me to mention that, so just to make sure you hadn't forgotten.
Oh, absolutely right. There we go.
I am joking, Jeff. Of course, I wouldn't be that blunt. Yeah, I would. Of course, I would.
I think we've known you long enough, Colin.
Sorry.
I think we've known you long enough.
What you're saying is I'm a rude sod. Right. Thanks very much, Jeff. We're going now. But in terms of, well, we will mention it briefly then, and I know you're moving on to it. Do you sell the shop floor data collection to Alex then? That's put you on the spot, isn't it?
Well, yeah, in terms of, let's face it, your quotation, that's where obviously you've worked out what you think the job will take. Now, obviously, you've got three factors you've really got to keep an eye on. You've got to keep an eye on, can you actually achieve the process times you've estimated? Can you actually get the subcon, any treatments performed in the cost you've allowed for? And can you buy the material within the allowance you've got? So ultimately, Datatrack has a job costing module, so you can see the before and the after collectively. But midway along there is shop floor data collection. So to monitor the times off the shop floor, you can clock on, clock off for jobs, or you can put in post-event, post-operation times. And then a system can help you analyze and report back on jobs that have gone overtime. If you've gone overtime, why? Can you re-engineer it? Can you bring those times down? Or did you overlook something in the original costing? Do you now need to go back to the customer if the job repeats? And one of the important factors there, a really crucial factor, is the fact that the system is modular and lets you flow data through. Someone could easily put on a repeat order and you have the ability to stop it. You can set a quote to review required, which means it's there, but we've got to now re-engineer it before we can repeat the order. So it closes the loop. It's no good having data collection if you don't act on it.
Absolutely. And in terms of that data collection, you're clocking on, clocking off, but there are others. You can have barcode scanners, barcode scanners.
Well, simply in terms of recording time, let's face it, one of the easiest things to get wrong is going to be typing a works order number, even typing a not number. I know it's only 2-3 numbers, but it's easy to mistype it. So scanning it off a job card takes away the error.
Okay. Now, Alex, as we mentioned earlier, your machine shop has just massively transformed, even just moving different machines, bigger batch runs, obviously different projects. Now, what I'm trying to allude to here is how has it really helped you take control of that, and then looking at the end user and end result, and more importantly, I suppose, I'll say that what I'm alluding to is traceability and the old chestnut of accreditation.
Accreditation, yeah. So obviously, as Jeff touched on earlier, when we first spoke about PSL all those years ago, obviously we had in our sights that we wanted to become ISO 9001 accredited, that we decided that some years prior. But obviously we knew that doing it the way, on our old system, paper-based spreadsheets, Words, we knew that was going to be very difficult to maintain the traceability. So obviously that's when we looked at PSL, and we knew that would be the ultimate solution to sort of tie everything in, and then not only to help us achieve the initial accreditation, but then also maintain everything, because obviously I think most companies will probably tell you that maintaining it is just as hard as getting it in the first place, because it's very easy to let things slip, and obviously we're now 2 years now accredited, so we just passed our second recertification audit only. So traceability from PSL is helping there, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I'm actually going to quote you. Quality is central to everything that we do, of course. The of course was from me, sorry. Once we decided to go for ISO 9001, it made perfect sense for PSL Datatrack to become part of our quality procedures in advance. So do you want to expand a bit on that as well, Jeff? How are you helping with accreditations?
Well, yeah, I mean, the truth of it is, if you don't have a system in place, or it's a manual paper-based system, how do you document what you do? How do you produce evidence? How do you demonstrate that you use it reliably? Very, very difficult and very time-consuming. Once you've got a Datatrack system in place with the structure we've got, it's difficult not to have the traceability in place. I say that in terms of the way everything's linked. If you buy material for a job, it's automatically linked. It knows what the job is. When you booked it in, it's auto-allocated it. If you bought it for stock and perform an allocation, it's linked it. So the traceability is inherent in what we do. You send a job out for a subcon process. If you need to trace the material through the subby, so if the subcon process comes back in several batches, you can still identify the plate or the heat treatment batch and which material it belonged to. So everything is linked together. It's like a daisy chain in effect. And ultimately, when you produce your delivery to your customer, or you put finished components into stock, you've got that batch traceability. It's just there. It's not an option. It's not a bolt-on. It's there.
Okay, now Alex, this is another leading question. Is that the right word? You've got your 9001. First of all, how well did PSL? You haven't done it before, obviously. I'm assuming PSL Datatrack made that a lot easier to actually get that accreditation.
Yeah, definitely, because like Jeff just said, you can touch it. When the auditors come round, you show them the system. It's easy to you have the evidence there to show that the system is working, and you're following the defined flow through, from quotation, orders, purchasing, through to deliveries and invoicing and stock control and everything else that comes in between. So yeah, it's obviously a lot easier to prove and document that how you're using it. Whereas if you were on paper like we used to be, it gets very muddly, very time consuming, and it's very it just doesn't run.
It's an absolute pain. It could be by the sound of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's pre-PSL, of course.
Yeah, pre-PSL. Yeah.
So you've got it. You've had it for 2 years now. So you've had your sort of re-accreditation renewal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming, and I'm going to make a big assumption here. It was very streamlined and very simple. Half a day.
Yeah, it was just 1 day. Yeah, 1 day audit. Yeah, and nothing major to correct or anything. So
excellent. So even if an engineer doesn't, they're already super profitable and super efficient before they took on PSL Datatrack, this can just streamline the whole process for them and take them to that next level in terms of accreditation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be. If you don't have a decent system in place already, then PSL is going to definitely transform and make everything smoother on that front.
No, just to that point, because when you say about making it smoother, Alex, I agree totally. And let's face it, everything you do in terms of admin-wise, it's a distraction from what you want to do. Because you're not being profitable pushing bits of paper around, sending emails. You're being profitable by running machines and making swarf. And to use the old term you used to use, Colin, all the time, keeping those spindles turning, that's what makes you money. So slicking up and improving or reducing the time taken for the whole admin process, it's a no-brainer, really. It's how you become efficient.
That ties in nicely. So, yeah, keeping those spindles turning. I'm assuming, Alex, you'd much rather have your head in or near a machine making those parts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, small family business, we have to split our time between paper, office-based work, and work on the shop floor. So anything that makes that smoother, speeds the processes up, it's been a godsend, really, to be honest. And as the business has grown, to imagine being where we are now without PSL would be very, very, very difficult to function, because I think we'd be stuck in the office all day.
Great endorsement. And I've seen the car park. I know your dad's Ferrari is quite expensive to service as well. Brutal. I am, of course, joking on that one. It's a Lamborghini. No. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Jeff said about emails and things like that. Yeah, you don't want to be sitting in your office doing emails and quoting things like that. That's another key aspect of what you can do now, because you can go from initial quote to final invoice, and it's all automated.
Certainly the invoice, we can script the invoice, so at the point you printed it, it can actually auto email it out to your customer as well. So it's all down to the functions and features that every individual Datatrack customer wants to make use of and activate, to be honest.
And then over to you, Alex. Any further thoughts on that in terms of it just streamline the whole process?
Really just streamline everything, and obviously reduced our amount of hours we have to spend doing the back office things, generating the paperwork. So anything to do that is a godsend. It means we've got more time to be on the shop floor making more parts.
Absolutely, keeping those spindles turning.
Correct.
Okay, that's all good. Now I'm gonna sort of bring it to a close fairly shortly. But is there anything else you want to add, Jeff?
I think we've probably covered pretty much everything we need to. I mean, the fundamentals are that Datatrack is a solution to take away the distraction. And I think, Colin, you've described in various podcasts and videos before, it's the bit that's not very exciting. It's not. The exciting bit is what you make on the machines. But the paperwork, the admin side, is the part that just has to be done, in which case, get rid of it, do it as quickly as you can, do it as reliably as you can in the shortest time possible. And that's what we always endeavour to enable our customers to do.
Absolutely. So a bespoke production control software for subcontract engineers, making them a lot more efficient. And module 27, that is out now. It's coming out very soon.
It's coming out very, very soon. It's just in final testing, so it's within days now. Yeah.
Well, okay, we won't quote you on that because bit, we do a bit of software from our side and final day. I'll say no more on the subject, shall we?
I'll tell you what, I don't have a hat, but I'll eat it. If by the time this podcast goes live, the contract review module isn't live.
Okay, 2024, we'll see. We'll hear it then. I'm going to close with Alex, I think. So, Alex, a couple of quick things. Do you wish you'd done it sooner in terms of getting PSL Datatrack?
Yeah, actually, 100% do. Yeah, no, we should have done it many years prior. And then I think, obviously it would have sped up this growth period that we're in even more. And probably, we'd have had it sooner, definitely.
Would it have meant you would have got an S-Class rather than a C-Class if I get my names of Mercedes correct?
Oh, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure.
But it has helped with your profitability and efficiency, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and obviously being able to keep a closer eye on things and monitor things as it develops, it's a godsend.
Brilliant. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. So PSL Datatrack, Jeff, thank you for joining us. From my perspective, it's a must-have solution stroke system for any subcontract engineer. Alex, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to coming to visit you to find out. Well, I think we're going to go visit you to review your Miano, but then the way things are going, probably your next machine after that as well. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been great hearing all about it, and we will no doubt speak to you both very soon.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, cheers, Colin. Thank you.
Jeff, Alex, thank you, and goodbye. And that's it. Thank you very much, Jeff. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.